three. Good.
Step back three. That's a good shot for three.
Stepping through off the window, good.
Stepping through the raindrops and the finish on the right hand.
And then gets going to Boomers way with back-to-back threes. The Boomers, a WNBL chance.
Round 11 of the Cygnett WNBL is in its concluding stages, but not before fans are treated to what could be the game of the round. Welcome to the Boombox, the Melbourne Sports Centre here in Parkville for the Melbourne Boomers and the Bendigo Spirit. It's first versus third on the table for your Sunday hoops. Liam Ellison here alongside me, of course, is WNBL Championship winning coach Laurie Chiswick. Welcome back for another afternoon of hoops.
Oh, Liam, I tell you what, anytime there's a match that includes two of the top four themes, there is absolutely a lot of reasons to be excited. And you know, I was thinking about it, this game is just bigger than the win because with Melbourne beating Bendigo in round 9, it means that if they get the win today, they'll have head-to-head on Bendigo, while Bendigo will certainly want to even up that ledger to one game each. So there is lots riding on today's game.
Tiebreaker would be very, very crucial potentially at season's end. The last time they met was the 8th of January, as you mentioned, Laurie. It was an 88-79 victory for the Melbourne Boomers. They come into this game top of the table, Laurie, first versus third, as we mentioned. Melbourne have an 11-2 record, and Bendigo improved to 10-4 with that win against Bendigo earlier this round.
Well, you know, that ladder it's really crunching up at the top there with three teams, Southside, Bendigo, and Townsville, all having 4 losses. So anytime that happens, it's really crucial to get that win today. That's what Bendigo will be thinking.
Melbourne are also coming off their last victory against the UC Capitals, in which Kayla George put up 37-17, Laurie.
She is on fire, Kayla. I mean, she would, in my mind right now, she is the top of the MVP picks. The top of a very good bunch, I might add. But the way she's playing and her consistency, she's somebody that any team that goes up against her has to be really focused on.
Absolutely. Leading the league in 3 points made as well, Kayla George, 2.8 per night. Here's the ladder right now. Melbourne at the top, 11-2. They're 4-1 as well at home this season. Going to be a tough ask for Bendigo this evening, who sit at third, Laurie.
Well, and that's what I was talking about. Look at those number of losses, 4. And Perth Lynx, they're still hanging in there with 5, so they're very much in the mix. So what that means, too, is that head-to-head becomes even more important when you look at that win-loss record between those teams, the top 5. Melbourne, if they keep winning, they just have that little bit of a margin, and they'll want to keep that.
In some great form, no doubt about it. Let's look as well at the Melbourne starters in just a moment. And a couple of returning players here, Laurie, but also a key omission for Chris Lucas's team.
Well, there's a couple of omissions from both teams, and the big one for Melbourne is no Mia Murray, and you can see that Goodchild has been put into the starting lineup, and she's been a wonderful addition to this team. But as you mentioned, George, 37 points. The last time these teams played, Christy Wallace, 23 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists. So she'll be somebody also to watch out for this game.
Mila Goodchild has been a revelation, no doubt about it, for Chris Lucas's team. Let's look as well at the Bendigo Spirit lineup, who are fresh off that victory against Bendigo on Thursday night.
And their big out is their superstar, Kelsey Griffin. She's not suiting up due to her hamstring injury. But Abby Warung is put into the starting lineup, and I think Abby Warung is really underrated both offensively and defensively. She's had a great last couple of rounds, being very consistent, and so they've elected to go a little bit smaller, a little bit quicker. Annalie Maley is now in the 4 spot. So whilst that might give them some matchup difficulties against the height of Melbourne, Melbourne are now going to have to compete with their speed as well.
Of course, Megan McKay as well was crucial in replacing the absence of Kelsey Griffin over that win against Canberra, I should say. 20 points, 8 boards off the bench.
Didn't she do a great job? And she just finished so well inside. So I'm sure that she'll see some minutes against, the likes of Adoda and George because she's just such a big presence in there.
3 of the league's top 6 scorers feature in this game. And if Kelsey Griffin was available, Laurie, it'd be 5 of the top 10.
Well, and Wallace too is in that top group as well. So it's a potent scoring group that we've got on display today. And the last time these teams met, it was basket for basket. At the end of the first quarter, it was Bendigo by 4. Second quarter, Bendigo by 2. Third quarter, Melbourne by 1, and really it was the last 5 minutes. Melbourne's defense just went up a notch, and they ended up winning by 9, as you mentioned. So hopefully we're in for that sort of game today.
Nelson Adoda wins it down for Melbourne, and we are away at the Boombox here in Parkville. George, straightaway triple, drops it for Melbourne. What an opening.
Well, thank you very much. We talked her up in the pregame, and then she's come to the party straight away.
Ellie Wilson, fresh off an 18-point performance in that win over Canberra. Tries to dump it down low to Froling. Melbourne retrieve it. Christy Wallace over to Tiff Mitchell, returning from illness, missing the last game for the Boomers. Down low to Nelson Adoda. Gets the foul call. So a trip to the charity stripe for the Boomers.
And I think that's going to be the difficulty for Bendigo. If they're going inside and they're not looking at doubling or anything at this stage, made her, shoot over a hand. That's, I'm sure, part of the game plan, especially with Bendigo starting small.
First goes at the line for Nelson Adoda, who's shooting 67% from the field this season. Really had a great second half of the year, if you like, as she makes 2 of 2. Maley. Now it's Werrung in the starting lineup today for Coach Kennedy Kerryama's team. Wilson around the Froling pick. Werrung will fire from the wing, little strong. And George, the league's leading rebounder, pulls it down. Mitchell off the dribble, takes on Wilson. Muscles up the shot, just missing. Maley assessing her options forward. Werrung has George on her, takes her on. Nice dive, denied by George.
That was a great read by Froling to cut into the off, move off the ball. And then for Werrung just to see her there.
Great denial from Kayla George. Bendigo have got 10 to work with. Into Kelly Wilson. Maley, top of the perimeter. Crossing on Goodchild. Nice move off the dribble. Annalie Maley.
Really tough finish because there was some good help there by Nelson Adoda.
First points of the ball game for Bendigo. Mitchell into the corner. Goodchild for 3.
And that's what they signed her up for. Goodchild. She's known as a great three-point shooter, but I think she's been really good at the defensive end as well.
She burst onto the scene with that 6 of 6 performance from long range against Adelaide earlier in the year. As Maley's denied, shooting 48% from 3, as we mentioned, Mila Goodchild. Wallace finds Goodchild again. She'll fire. Back iron. George comes up with a steal. Melbourne fast start, 10-2 opening in just 2 minutes.
That's just such great awareness by Kayla George. Just as she was running by the player, just had active hands in there and just got a quick, easy steal.
Great pass, Wilson. Froling just couldn't convert. Melbourne ball. There's that steal again from Kayla George. Crafty. Second in league scoring, first in rebounding, Kayla George. Wallace defended tightly by Werrung. Gets around in the key way, tough shot. Nelson Adoda on the O-glass. Extra pass, Goodchild. Inside the lane, makes it.
See, that's the luxury of somebody like Goodchild. When you've scored a 3 and the defense has to close out long to you and take it away. So as they were closing out, she's now just put it to the floor, punched it in. You can see the closeout there. Nailed it.
Fast start from the Boomers. Timeout on the floor, Bendigo. 12-2. In just a couple of minutes here for the Melbourne Boomers. This timeout brought to you by CTM Sport. If you're considering travelling interstate with your basketball team, consider CTM Sport for a competitive, innovative and customised travel solution that puts your team on top. Visit ctmsport.com.au. Well, Laurie, this Melbourne team, they're first in points for, first in points against. They've been box office so far this season, and once again, they've come out of the gates firing.
Well, Chris Lucas's teams and these players out there really pride themselves on their defense, and you can see already some of the rotations that took place. They switch, they communicate, they come over to help, and right now there's not a lot wrong with their defense. And I think for Bendigo, they have to make them play. We can see the insertion of Megan McKay now on the court, just to probably counter that little bit of height that Melbourne have. Well, not a little bit, a lot of height that Melbourne have over them, and just see if they can sort of change their look.
She was great last outing, of course, Megan McKay. Had 17 points in 17 minutes as well, the game prior. So a rich vein of form for her off the bench. Wilson start the offense for Bendigo. Ali Wilson. As Mitchell defending her, picks up her dribble. 9 seconds. Maley, Bendigo needs some movement, tries to take George off the dribble. Tough contest, good D.
See, I love the fact that Kayla George is matched up on Maley in most circumstances. That'll really test her lateral movement, and she did a great job there of keeping Maley in front of her, keeping that distance.
Melbourne defense, early days, has been stellar. Wilson trying to correct that for Bendigo. Werung around a pick. McKay is there. She can step into a three. Werung drops it for Bendigo.
Great read by Werung. Wallace got caught under the screen, so she saw she was wide open and took that shot. Took the opportunity.
Good child. Nelson Adoda. George assessing her options. Drives left on Maley, slowed up. 5 seconds. Inside the lane, fade away. Draws the foul. George to the line.
Kayla's just playing with such high IQ right now that, you know, she made a pass, then she immediately took Maley down to post her up, and her players, her teammates got it into her, recognized she needs the ball inside there.
Could very well be a career best season for Kayla George. It's already been a storied career in the WNBL. Closing in on that all-time rebounding record. Makes the 3 throws.
That's a long record held by Rachel Sporn, that rebounding record.
152 rebounds away now she is. Here's Werung. Fires again from 3. Back-to-back it falls.
I like the fact that Werung, she just shot that 3 the time before. Go at it again. Set a play up for her.
Back to 6. Wallace has to dispose of it. Now she can fire from the top. Just rattles out. Maley on the glass. Down low to McKay. Finds Werung in the corner. Wallace closing out. Wilson driving on Goodchild. Not that time. Goodchild running point for Melbourne momentarily. George hovering in the vicinity. She'll fire again from 3.
We know George likes that pick and pop.
And very effective all season long. His last touch, Bendigo. Maley with the final fingertip on it. George just doing enough to force the steal or the turnover. Here's Wallace. Halfway through this first quarter at the Melbourne Sports Centre. Nice dime from George. And Nelson Adoda just missing. Averaging around 5 assists per game this season, Kayla George. There's Tessa Lavey as well, who's checked in for the first time this afternoon. Thought about the triple. Goodchild closed out. McKay had position and a foul call.
Well, it was certainly the right execution trying to get it into McKay, and she had a good seal on Nelson Adoda and was holding it and demanding the ball. They're actually lucky that the foul got called because the pass did go a little bit astray.
Fresh 14 Bendigo into Lavey. Maley on the perimeter. McKay's hovering on the low block. Maley driving and just fumbling the entry pass was McKay. Laurie, great to see Tessa Lavey back out there as well for the Bendigo Spirit.
It is. She's only played 4 games this season, so, you know, if they can get her healthy and well, get some minutes into her legs over the next couple of rounds, then she could be a real X factor come playoff time.
Christy Wallace will head to the charity stripe. This will be her 5th appearance this season. Tessa Lavey returning from a calf injury. And you're right, massive potential to be that X factor for them. Christy Wallace shooting 77% from the line this season. Makes on the first.
Hasn't she had just a consistent season as well? Christy Wallace averaging 16.7 points per game, but really just controlling the team, the tempo, the decision-making of the Boomers.
And I love her here as well at the boombox, already a fan favourite. Such a tough style of play. Here's Maley. Speaking of, Lavey around the pick, pulls up. A little strong on the mid-range too, but Wilson's there. Werung will reset. McKay at the elbow finds Maley, slashing down low. Wilson can go from the 45. Not that time. It was a complete performance from Ali Wilson the other night. 18, 5 and 5, 2 steals. Start against the Capitals. Here's Tiff Mitchell. Tried to slice through 2 Bendigo defenders. Good child off the dribble. Hook shot no good.
I think Ali Wilson is, you know, she was out of the WNBL for a couple of years, played with some different teams, but I think she's really cemented herself back in the league and what she's brought this season. And defensively, I really like the way she uses her length and her active hands.
Dynamic on the wing for Coach Kennedy Kariyama's team. Werung trying to release McKay. Goes against the Spirit.
You can see that anytime there's any penetration, any downhill penetration, the Boomers are just collapsing and making life really difficult for, one, them to get the penetration, but also to even get a good look back out to a pass on the perimeter.
Well, Bendigo to 3 of 11 shooting so far in this game. Mitchell splits the double, slicing through.
That is classic Tiff Mitchell.
Moving it quickly at Bendigo. Wilson takes on Davidson and finds her out of position. Wilson to the line. As Davidson has checked in off the bench just moments ago. There's that move from Mitchell again. Silky smooth. Back to 9 points the margin. Averaging 12 points per game this season. Ali Wilson, 3 assists. She goes 2 of 2 on that occasion. Hands it to her point guard and Wallace. George moving it on to Goodchild. The Boomers onto Mitchell via a handoff. Tries to take on McKay.
Great D, Megan McKay, especially on Tiff Mitchell. She just anticipated which way she was going to travel.
Maley steps into a mid-range 2. And that won't go. Nearly the turnover. In fact, it will be. McKay wrestles the basketball out of Wallace's hands. Lavey to reset. Wants some movement. And the foul call going against the Spirit. Offensive. Tough blow for the Spirit. And there's that defense again from Megan McKay. As Kelly Wilson will check back in. Werung with 2 triples to her name already. We'll take a break. Wallace and Lavey. Here's Brewster into the ball game for the first time. Wilson with a deflection. Nearly the steal. Ali Wilson hunting it down. Wallace is there. Can Melbourne slingshot themselves? No, George missing. A little long. Maley forward to Wilson on the left hand.
Great outlet pass. Great running the floor by Ali Wilson. A nice finish.
Wallace pulls up from mid-range. And last touched by the Boomers.
The Spirit are keeping, they're keeping in touch there. It looked for a while there that the Boomers might just sort of blow out this first quarter, but it's back to a 6-point game.
McKay, 90 seconds out now from quarter time. Annalie Maley dumps it down low. McKay denied by Davidson. Another rejection in the painted area for the Boomers.
Not sure why you can see that the first screen they switched and McKay had a mismatch on her. Then they used a re-screen and she had back to Nelson Adoda on her. So she should have just dove on that first screen.
Davidson, handoff. Now Wallace finds Davidson cutting to the hoop, missing on the reverse. Maley. Plenty of Boomers back in defense. Now Wilson from the 45, just off. And Wallace does well, tight to that sideline. George. Puts it against the handoff. Mitchell's there posting up. Foul call. First personal on Kelly Wilson.
I feel like both teams are just, they're rushing things just a little bit. They're not quite getting it through enough hands, changing sides, making the defense have to make some decisions.
Boomers in the bonus. Mitchell's first trip to the free-throw line today. Melbourne now 7 of 7 already this afternoon from the line. The league's leading scorer returning this season as import for the Boomers has been Stella once again, and she goes 2 from 2. Wilson. The team trailing by 8, retrieves it back from Ali Wilson. On the reverse, just falls out. Frolling's there, second chance. Frolling again comes with a pick. Davidson switching on. Wilson, step back triple. And Mitchell's there, shot clock off, 10 seconds. Moving it quickly. Down low, Davidson's got the advantage. Tight to the baseline. Wallace, Mitchell for 3 to end the first quarter. What a finish. Boomers by 11 points.
That last time down the floor, everybody touched the ball.
Great teamwork from the Boomers. The stop, and then to find Mitchell wide open in the corner. And a great opening here for the home side, Laurie.
Well, they came out on fire. Then I was impressed with Bendigo. They sort of got it back, but the Boomers, I tell you what, defensively, they are making life difficult for Bendigo. 12 points they've kept them to, but it's the way they've done it. They've really smothered any inside looks at all, but starting the game off, Kayla George for 3. And, she never looked back from there. She just continued to have an influence on the game the whole quarter, I thought.
George once again continuing her season-long form, played all 10 minutes, 7 points, 4 boards, a rejection. And they've held Bendigo to 4 of 17 from the field. 2 of those field goal attempts for Bendigo have come by Abby Werrung 3-pointers to keep him in this one. Boomers looking ominous early, and Chris Lucas has his team firing. And of course, it's his 62nd birthday yesterday, Chris Lucas as well, Laurie. So happy birthday to him.
Are you supposed to say ages of coaches when they get to a certain age, Liam?
It's a good point, Laurie. We'll have to fix that for next time. Here's the stats on your screen now. 50% from 3 are the Boomers. What stands out to you, Laurie?
Well, the stat that's probably not on there that stands out to me is the free throws. So the Boomers have gone to the line 8 times, 100%, and Bendigo only twice. So it tells me that Boomers are getting that ball inside. They're driving it in, whereas Bendigo are probably settling for some outside shots, and we can see they're only 4 of 17 at 24%. So I think they need to get their feet in the paint a little bit more.
How have you seen the adjustments so far with no Kelsey Griffin in the lineup?
Well, she's a big one to have missed out on, with her points and her reboundings and her leadership out there. But, Annalie Maley has been quiet the last game they played each other. I think maybe Melbourne know how to play her really well. But, she's somebody that will step up. I like what I've seen from Werrung. She's always going to be consistent out there. So I think they need to just get the ball through hands a little bit more, make the defense shift.
Here we go, second quarter underway. Bendigo trail by 11. Levy remains out there. Just missing on the lay-in. Froling goes against Bendigo. Bemused on the rebound attempt is Alicia Froling.
That's her second personal foul.
Mitchell.
That's one thing Bendigo just can't afford, to have any of their relatively big players get into any sort of foul trouble.
Depth has been tested. Wallace finds Mitchell on the wing. Again, she's slicing through. Attacking the rack with authority.
That's a really good word, Liam. Authority, assertiveness. When she puts that ball to the ground, she does it with such strength and clarity.
She's controlled this game so far this afternoon. Wilson down low. Froling, not that time. Boomers with yet another stop. Now George, wide open. A little strong. Brewster's in the area. Last touch, Melbourne. Boomers with the first bucket of the second period. Good atmosphere once again today at the Boombox here in Parkville. Froling. Levy retrieves it back just inside the line. Can't find the rim. Boomers basketball. Wallace pushing the pace. Good team in control here, early days. Down low, Davidson has the advantage. Kelly Wilson comes across to help. And a foul call from the referee.
Just a smart play by Penina Davidson, just getting in front of her player on that little roll and keeping her player there.
Deflected off Maley on the inbounds. So Melbourne will go again. Werong checks in for the Spirit. So 14 for Melbourne. Kayla George with a rock. Into Davidson, front position, strong. Davidson uses her size. 15-point margin. Bendigo need a response. Wilson, hands off to Werong. Brewster's right there. Now Maley wants a triple of her own off the window.
Do you think she called that?
I don't think so, but a little bit of luck.
That doesn't matter. They'll take it, whatever way they can get it.
Needed it, the Spirit. Mitchell, travel call. So Bendigo with a tiny boost of momentum here. There's Goodchild set to check in for the Boomers. May or may not have called bank. It won't matter. 3 points on the board for Maley. She's up to 5. Wilson and Wallace, two of the best point guards in Australia, facing off this afternoon. Top 3 in the league for assists per game. Maley on the wing. Opts out to Wilson. She goes for 3. Back-to-back triples, Bendigo.
That's what they need.
Closes the gap. Back into single digits. Wallace kicks it out. Goodchild. Melbourne want movement down low. Nilsson Adoda. Nice step through.
There's not much Alicia Froling could do once she got position up there. All she could do was hold her hands straight. But see if we can get another 3 by Abby Werong.
The third triple of the afternoon already.
Give her the ball.
Wallace from the elbow. Just off. Werong up to 9. Here she is. Froling's on the low block. Wilson tries to find some penetration. Froling's there. No good on the left. Wallace and Werong. Nilsson Adoda moves it on. George. Single-digit shot clock. Mitchell. What will she do this time? Right on the free-throw line. Back to 8 points the margin. Bendigo. A chance to cut it even more. Maley nearly loses her footing. McLean moves it on to Werung. Maley will have to reset. George defending her. That's a deep triple. Good defense, though, from George. Werung. Just enough space to keep it in. And Melbourne with the stop. Saw off 2 or 3 second chance opportunities from the Spirit. 4 minutes gone, second quarter here at the Boombox. George at the perimeter. Mitchell slashing to the hoop. Tries to hold position, and the foul call assessed against Wilson. Her second.
Good decision by Wilson. That little dribble handoff, backdoor cut, got in front of her player, Kelly Wilson.
Substitutions flowing for the Spirit. Ali Wilson back out there.
Christy Wallace, Kayla George, and Tiff Mitchell haven't been subbed out yet. They've been on the game the whole time so far.
Kayla George and Tiff Mitchell first and second in the league for minutes played as George, the tough fadeaway.
And has Annalie Maley also not come off for Bendigo.
Wilson, hand off to McLean. Werung. Melbourne trying to run her off the line. She's been hot from that area so far this afternoon. Wilson, that's a deep three, a little long. Melbourne defense continuing to hold up here. Bendigo shooting below 25% from the field. Wallace. Now George go again, feeling it. Kayla George is hot at the Boombox.
She wanted that ball. She knew she had a mismatch with Alex Wilson on her.
Ali Wilson tried to create some penetration. McKay here with the pick. McLean down low. McKay makes her move. Classy. The first bucket of the afternoon. George, meanwhile, has 11 points, 5 boards already. Good child. And Nelson Doda on the perimeter. Mitchell, comfortable in his position. Werung comes across the double. Nelson Adoda's there. Wallace wide open for 3. On the buzzer, won't go. And will be assessed with a personal foul.
That is good justification that McLean got that rebound, because she played some great defense against Tiff Mitchell, keeping her in front, stopping an automatic layup, and she just fought and fought. Really good on-ball defense.
Timeout on the floor, 10-point ball game. 33-23. The Boomers lead here in this second quarter. Bendigo lead the quarter by a point, and this timeout brought to you by our major partners of the WNBL, Cygnett. To stay connected with the latest news and social highlights, keep your favourite tech charged up at home or on the go with Cygnett's extensive range of charging products and digital accessories. Explore their range at cygnett.com. Leading scorers on your screen right now. No surprises there, Laurie.
No, Kayla George leading the way. Tiff Mitchell, 2 of the first and second in points per game across the competition. So not surprising seeing there. And Abby Werung, 3 threes. I would be going to her a little bit more, but not just give her the ball and letting her, try and break. Set her up for a 3-point shot. Run her off some screens. Make sure that she has that ball in her hand coming off a screen wide open for a 3, because she's feeling it tonight.
It's been the most fruitful part of Bendigo's offense so far. 6 points in the paint. They've made 8 field goals. 5 of them have been threes.
So keep going there. If it's working, having said that, you don't want to just ping away, but go to who's hot, got a hot hand and got some confidence. At least try and set up a play for her.
3 of 4 from beyond the arc this afternoon. Maley and Wilson have hit a triple as well for the Spirit. From the Melbourne perspective, they're 3 of 8 from long range. Shooting 42% from the field. 4.5 to go before the main break here at the Boombox. Sunday Arvo Hoops.
Both teams are taking care of the ball relatively well. Certainly for Melbourne, 3 turnovers. For Bendigo, 6 turnovers.
Wilson turns the
Jets
on. Slicing through. And a tough finish on the left hand brings it back to 8 points for Bendigo. Brewster tries to rip through on McLean. Finds Nelson Adota. Down low, George takes advantage.
What a great high-low pass from the bigs, Nelson Adota into Kayla George.
Wilson with the rock for Bendigo. Werung, they go under the screen, and she drops it.
Thank you. That was just a nice little play, a nice little screening action.
You knew it was going down.
Well, she rewarded them for that. Go again.
Good child. Keeping the spirit in it at the moment is Abby Werung shooting from beyond the arc. Wallace from the free-throw line. Nice finish. And her first field goal. Has 6 dimes already, Christy Wallace. Wilson. Tough look. Over the outstretched arm of Nelson Adota. Back to 7 points. Wallace retrieves it back from Goodchild. George and Brewster in the corner. Nelson Adota there with the pick. Wilson comes to meet her. Working through, waved off. We're headed the other way. Nelson Adota has 2 personals. Only Boomer with more than 1 foul.
Just see that little hook around Kelly Wilson.
Wilson averaging over 6 assists per game once again this season. Hand off to Ali Wilson. No good from mid-range. Megan McKay tight to the baseline. Needs some assistance. Gets it out to Werung. Driving hard at Brewster. And Melbourne with the stop.
Again, we see that smothering defense from the Melbourne Boomers. When Werung put that ball to the floor, got her feet in the paint, there was just purple singlets everywhere.
Held the Spirit to 11 of 32 now from the field. They've had 4 more shots than Melbourne. Davidson. Mitchell down to George. Davidson again finds herself in the right position.
Such patience by the Boomers. They got that, they threw hands, they reversed it. They knew that that pass was going to go from George to Davidson if it was open, and it was just so well executed.
Werung again. Make it 5 to her name. Keeping the Spirit in at 6-point ball game. She's got 15, Laurie Chiswick.
Well, again, I think the Boomers are going to have to make an adjustment and go, okay, we can't help off Werung because she is shooting the lights out. And as I say at the beginning, she is underrated as a scorer and underrated as a defender. No matter what team she plays, and she's so even-keeled. She doesn't get overly excited. She doesn't get down on things. She's just a great teammate, a great player to have on your team.
Shooting 41% from 3 on the season is Abby Werung. Started the 5 games, appeared in 10. Starting today and shooting the lights out for the Spirit. Of course, what a game this is going to be as well in a couple of weeks' time. Make sure you get your tickets to John Cain Arena for the Flyers and the Flames Saturday, Feb 4. It is going to be a blockbuster and a historical night in WNBL history as well. Just a few minutes away from the halftime break here in Melbourne.
I've been going to the John Cain Arena watching some tennis, and I keep imagining this game and how great that's going to be in that wonderful stadium and filling it with basketball fans appreciating elite women's basketball. It's going to be fantastic.
Sure is. What a chance to witness Lauren Jackson here with the great backdrop of John Cain Arena. It's the Boomers by 6 with 2:10 on the clock in the second. Kayla George leads the way with 13 points, 5 boards, and Tiff Mitchell has 9. Davidson needs some assistance on the inbound. Wilson right there. Melbourne will have to go again.
I like this extended defense by Bendigo. Just making the Boomers think a little bit. They can't just bring it up the floor and call whatever they want.
Into Goodchild. Wallace will set the offense for Melbourne. Melbourne need movement. Offensive foul. Looks to go against Christy Wallace. So make it 2 personals for her. Not sure what the call was for.
She ran into Megan McKay, but I didn't really quite see where the foul actually came from.
No arguments from the Boomers nonetheless. Bendigo ball. Wilson wants the handoff. Here's Werung. Has the hot hand. Good child. Hot in pursuit. Out to Maley. This time she fires.
Didn't take her long to release that shot. She caught that in rhythm. 1-2. Bang.
Back to 1 possession ball game. 8 of 14 from 3 of the Bendigo Spirit. Somehow shooting below 40% from the field to boot. Here's Goodchild. She'll go. That's her second.
What an answer.
Melbourne straight back. Wilson moving it quickly. Has George defending her. Thought about the 3. Maley will go again. And hits back iron that time. Mitchell probing. Goodchild's in the corner, feeling it, just a little left. Mitchell there, nearly came up with it. But Ali Wilson retrieves. Under a minute to go. McKay provides the pick. Werung in the corner. Down low on Davidson with the denial. Mitchell in transition. 2-on-2 for Melbourne. Nice Euro step on the left hand. Tiff Mitchell, aggression with the bucket for the Boomers. Timeout on the floor. And it's back to an 8-point margin, Laurie.
That's just a great sequence of play for the Boomers. You know, just the way they stopped here with Davidson just straight up got her hand. And then this transition basket by Tiff Mitchell going all the way. Little Euro step, as you mentioned. Nice left-hand finish.
He's 4 of 7 from the field today, Mitchell. They regain some ascension, the Boomers. Bendigo lead the period by 3 points, 24 in the quarter. And Jordan Mitchell, once again, unsurprisingly, putting on a show for Melbourne here.
Well, you know, whatever, 30 seconds ago, it was a 3-point game. You know, and I thought, well, now Bendigo it's all tied up, but that just shows the potency of the Boomers and their defense. When you can come up with some really quick stops that result in baskets like we just saw Tiff Mitchell score, wow, you can blow out a score pretty quickly. Not that 8 points is a blowout, but it's just that margin can go so fast.
It was lethal off the dribble is Tiff Mitchell. But he has 3 or 4 field goals from that situation. 41 to go before the main break. Bendigo with a much improved second quarter showing. Melbourne looking to take a double-digit lead if they can into the break.
It's interesting to see if out of that timeout we see a 3-point play set up for Werung or Maley. Maley shot the last one, but I'd be looking at Werung.
Wilson will try set just that. Maley. Ali Wilson has Davidson defending her. Opts to take her off the dribble. Fade away 2. Wilson up to 8.
That was a good drive by Ali Wilson. She was driving towards the side that Abby Werung was in the corner, so Tiff Mitchell couldn't help. If she helped off, then she was automatically going to go to Werung. So that was a good read by the Bendigo Spirit.
Playing with such confidence at the moment, Ali Wilson. Mitchell again off the dribble, crossing on McKay. Too slick. Mitchell with another bucket.
I think Tiff Mitchell would have to have the most lethal crossover step in the competition. It's just so effective.
46-38. The Boomers lead at the halftime break here. Tiff Mitchell with the final say. She draws even with Kayla George with 13 apiece. And the 2 Melbourne Stars are giving their fans a lot to cheer about here. Melbourne with the early ascension, Laurie.
Well, Tiff Mitchell is just getting her feet in the paint, and they're having trouble containing that penetration with the crossover. And then Bendigo at the other end are just, you know, shooting up some nice threes and keeping that margin close.
Werung leads the way with 15 points. As you mentioned, 5 of 6 from 3, and it's been the 3-point shooting that has kept Bendigo right in it.
Well, it hasn't, and they need to, you know, they need to mix things up. So they need to have a combination. As the Boomers
tonight is part of the inaugural Pride Round games for the Adelaide Lightning. Not sure if she was trying to dribble or go behind the back there. Kabilo, it might pay off because Whittle lays it in for two. Stolen there by Brooke. Ali Wilson regains control, and Annalie Maley, beautiful stroke. Another offensive rebound for Maley. That was almost too easy off the offensive glass.
So too to Wickham. Atwell now launches. Perth Lynx went on a great run there, and Wickham wants to get a basket back and does. Not quite having the night she had last time against this team, but Wickham is playing for this Perth Lynx side. So too does Amy Atwell, and nails the three.
H. Burrow's going to work. George puts up a long-range three and nails it. Kayla G for three. George with the block on Burrell. George feeling it at the other end.
3 seconds. Munga's going to have to put up a shot. She gives it off. Almost a half court from Melbourne. It's good! What a shot, Jade Melbourne.
Oh, that was just what you call a buzzer beater, last second fling.
All the energies with Canberra at the moment. Swain and one. Get a high percentage shot if possible. Munga loses her feet. Burrell for three. Dagger! Massive basket, Ray Burrell. It's one of the upsets of the season as the Caps break through to end their 12-game losing streak.
Sports fans, this is your chance to be part of history and celebrate Australia's greatest basketballer of all time.
Yes, Lauren Jackson, you are the queen of basketball and we love it.
LJ's Southside Flyers host the Sydney Flames in the first ever WNBL game at John Cain Arena.
Oh, she's feeling it. She's seriously feeling it.
You won't want to miss this history-making moment in women's basketball. Be part of a record WNBL crowd. Tickets on sale now at Ticketek.
Do not underestimate the power of a good blind. Take this exhausted couch. Now it stands before you. Magnifique. Even this cocktail of dead skin is gracefully waltzing. Da 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 da. DIY blinds. Change the ugly.
Tune in to the WNBL show, dropping weekly during the season and released across your favourite podcast network every Tuesday. Or watch the full vodcast at WNBL.basketbol.
League MVP. I'll never get used to that, by the way. That's a bit strange.
We can always come to you for a great inspirational quote.
Join me, Megan Hustray, and my team of co-hosts, stars across the league, as we talk about everything that's happening on and off the court in the Cygnett WNBL.
The ultimate Grand Slam experience is on 9 now. Incredible stuff. We've got every match on every court streaming for free.
How good is that?
Catch the thrilling highlights, follow your favourite players, and see the superstars whenever they play. The Australian Open, every match, every court streaming live and free on 9 now.
Gossip Girl here, your one and only source into the scandalous lives of Manhattan's elite. XOXO Gossip Girl.
Get your summer streaming on 9 now.
This is our vow to you.
What's coming down the aisle?
We'll send Australia
I look like the girl next door.
wild.
I'm actually a little freak in the sheets.
The phenomenon of love is bigger
You're a lucky man.
than ever.
She's not doing too badly herself.
New Married at First Sight, Monday, Jan 30 on 9.
The great champion is a rare phenomenon.
Who is the greatest tennis player of all time?
Djokovic or Nadal?
I wonder what the 100 thinks.
You have Australia's support.
Hi Hoopers, I'm Tess Madgen. I'm so excited to be offering virtual masterclasses this school holidays with She Hoops. Starting on the 9th of January at 5:30 p.m. every Monday night. In this 5-week series, we will be delivering a range of basketball skills. I will also take you through a number of mobility skills designed to keep your body active and engaged. And the best part is that it's free. Go to shehoops.com.au to register now and secure your spot.
The ultimate Grand Slam experience is on 9 now. Incredible stuff! We've got every match on every court streaming for free.
How good is that?
Catch the thrilling highlights, follow your favourite players, and see the superstars whenever they play. The Australian Open, every match, every court streaming live and free on 9 now.
So baby, in 90 days, we're gonna be husband and wife.
I was with her for 5 days, and then I proposed to her.
She's so eager to be in love, she lets red flags just go.
People say 19-year-old, she's just using you. Maybe she could be.
90 Day Fiancé. Get your summer streaming on 9 now.
It's the biggest WNBL season yet, and superstar Lauren Jackson returns. Turn it up. Don't miss a block, basket, or game winner.
Just not steal the win.
WNBL, live on 9 now.
The Bendigo Spirit out of the paint very effectively and mighty efficient so far, the Boomers. 51% or 52 from 3, 40 from 3-point. Perfect from the line and only 5 turnovers.
Well, yes, those are important stats, and we can just see here one of the stars of that first half, Tiff Mitchell, the way she went about her business, and we talked about her having one of the fiercest crossovers in the competition, and she just has a really good knack of getting that ball, being able to get her feet in the paint, and score perfectly. Here she does a full, coast to coast. Thank you very much.
So exciting to watch. Running downhill is Tiff Mitchell. Some highlight package she put together in that first half, and Two players really with MVP caliber seasons so far. George and Mitchell are the leading scorers for the Boomers.
Well, interesting that whole MVP scenario, because both of them had some amazing, outstanding games. But does that mean they take votes away from each other? You know, that's the thing that could play in the end. That they both really are, you know, have had great seasons, but. You know, and there a few other teams are like that too. When you look at the MVP, you look at Bendigo, and with Kelsey Griffin in there, her and Maley taking votes away from each other. Southside, well, they have a whole plethora of people taking votes away from each other. So that's always interesting when it comes to the MVP count at the end of the season.
It's going to be fascinating to see how that plays out. Absolutely, two players that likely will feature in the WNBL, all first team, second teams, etc. Come season's end, they've been brilliant. From the Bendigo perspective, Abby Werrung too, hasn't she been terrific?
Well, the number of threes that, you know, the confidence that she's shooting the three ball right now, 5 out of 6, 83%. You know, it'll be interesting to see if she cools down this half, or if the Boomers just don't give her any space to shoot that three.
It's been their one major weapon so far this afternoon. 8 of 15 from 3. 5 triples for Werrung, and the Boomers to start off the third with Wallace with the rock. Nelson Adoda, the high screen. Mitchell comes around the George pick, pops out to the three-point line. Wallace again from the elbow, opts into a pass. Good offense, Melbourne.
Bit of a miscommunication with Bendigo, whether they were going to switch it, whether they're going to stay with it, and Kayla George on that pop found herself wide open on the baseline. One of her favorite shots.
Extends the lead for the Boomers. Wilson. Maley slashing to the hoop. Wilson tries to step through on Goodchild off the backboard, and George pulls it down. Wallace. Now Mitchell on the wing. Ellie Wilson defending her, comes around the George screen, draws the foul.
Well, again, I talk about the on-ball, the pick-and-roll defense. What are they doing here? Are they switching? Are they in drops? There seems to be a lack of communication and a lack of knowing exactly what they're doing, because all of a sudden, Tiff Mitchell found herself wide open heading to the basket.
It's been a fruitful game plan so far for Tiff Mitchell to bring her tally to 14 on this free throw. Melbourne still perfect from the line.
Oh dear. Oh dear, you've just said that. Perfect from the line.
Often is the curse.
Oh,
not that time.
Good job, Liam.
Here's Kelly Wilson for Bendigo.
Everything intact.
Maley pushes it back out. Werrung. Allie Wilson off the dribble. Hitting the floor as Froling goes against the Boomers.
You can just see Tiff Mitchell just trying to shove that, really fighting hard to get over on top of that screen, but just extended her arm bar to try and push Alicia Froling out of bounds, or out of the play.
First for Mitchell. Alicia Froling, the only player in any sort of foul trouble with 3 in this game. Wilson. Maley for 3. Another one for her. Third triple for Maley. She's 3 of 5.
And another triple for the Spirit, who right now are shooting the lights out as a team.
Mitchell deflected off Wilson. Nelson Adoda's there. Rips and drives left on Froling. Nice move.
Not a lot Froling could do. She kept herself in front, kept her hands up, but no, Adoda just has the size. But nice finish and drive from Kelly Wilson.
Great body control in midair. Goodchild moves it into the front court. Wallace cutting hard, she'll opt it out. Nelson Adoda wide open in the keyway. I don't recognise it. Mitchell from the corner.
There was a lot of communication, lack thereof, and yes, a timeout by Kennedy, because I'm not sure they knew if they were in a zone, in man-to-man, or who had who, but there was a couple of wide-open players. They'll need to discuss that straight away.
Unsurprising. But Coach Kennedy Kariyama called the timeout. There's been breakdowns as you flagged, Laurie. This timeout brought to you by DIY Blinds to fit out your home with Australian-made designer-quality window furnishings at the best prices. Head to DIYblinds.com.au to order your free samples today. And Laurie, at the best of times, this Melbourne offense is very, very hard to slow down, shooting 47% clip on the season. When you have defensive breakdowns like that, it makes it even harder.
Well, you have to have your defensive principles in place. You have to make sure you're executing and you're communicating them. And that's why I think Melbourne are doing that so brilliantly. They know that they're switching. They know that they're collapsing on drives. They're looking really sharp. And right now, Bendigo have to go, okay, this is our rule on every pick and roll, or at least with these players. On a drive, this is where the help's coming from. All those things, well, they really should be in place right now, but if they have specific things for the Boomers, right now they're not getting it done.
12-point advantage to the Boomers. Just 2 minutes into this second half. And they've also done a great job as well at keeping Anneli Maley off the glass.
And we know what a magnet she is for the offensive rebounds. Leads the league, averaging 3.3 a game.
Mitchell with the steal into the open court. Can't get her easy bucket, Tiff Mitchell. And further to your previous point, Laurie, yet to register an offensive rebound so far today is Maley. Nelson Adoda now with a steal. Melbourne are hot. Wallace in transition. George, extra pass. And just stepped out of bounds was Goodchild. So the Boomers can take a deep breath. Bendigo a chance to control the ball game. 11 points to her name as well, Anneli Maley. Nice pass into the corner. Wilson just hits back heel. Maley fighting hard, but Melbourne's there.
Good blocking out by the Boomers, not giving the Bendigo Spirit any chance on the offensive rebounds.
George denying the handoff there, and a miscommunication. Abby Werong in the thick of it.
That's one thing you always have to make sure that you cut to score. So Christy Wallace there did the right cut, but she just wasn't cutting to score, and they get that play a lot, that little cut off the high post.
Wilson falling with the screen, whips it out. Kelly Wilson for three. Long rebound falls to Goodchild. Mitchell now up to 20 points on just 10 shots. 70% field goal. Goodchild has picked up her dribble. 8 seconds. Mitchell with the rock, steps into a mid-range two. Maley with the glass. She'll turn and go all the way herself, coast to coast. Missing that time. Wanted the foul call, won't get it. Now Wallace to set the offense for Melbourne. Wilson denying Goodchild. George is there, Wallace hesitates, hangs, can't finish.
Bendigo are again let off the hook there with that pick and roll defense.
Just feel like Melbourne's moments away from blowing this one out of control for Bendigo. Werong. They need a response to Spirit. Werong's had it so far. This time it's a turnover.
You can see Chris Lucas in the background calling a specific play.
Wallace down low. Tangled up, Nelson Adoda. Personal foul, number 3 for her. Bendigo with a trio of stops in a row now. As Werong and Froling check out, and Tessa Levy re-enters the fray.
Bendigo have to get back to, you know, what's worked for them so far, and that's, you know, having a little bit more composure on offense. To me, they're trying to do some uncharacteristic things. Passes trying to go inside that maybe aren't there, or maybe that one is there. That was a great look. And again, what I liked about that is Allie Wilson was cutting to score. She passed it in there. She was cutting. Look, straight away she had her eyes on McKay to get that ball back, and that's what you need to do.
High IQ pass there from McKay. Wilson disappointed she couldn't get the continuation opportunity, but 2 shots to come.
This is only the 3rd foul shot for Bendigo.
Wilson, the only player to go to the line as well. Representative of their game so far. It's been almost beyond the arc or nothing for the Spirit. Wilson makes in the 2nd. She's into double figures with 10. So George to inbound. Bendigo high in defence. Can they force a steal? Tiff Mitchell with the basketball. Wilson stays with Mitchell. Loses Wilson. Tried to get it to Davidson. McKay battling hard. Mitchell, though, somehow comes up with it. Out to Goodchild for 3. Little strong. There on the O-glass is Davidson. So a fresh 14 Melbourne. 12 points the margin. Can they extend it? Wallace battles around from the mid-range.
I just love that pull-up jump shot from Wallace. As she uses the screen, she reads where that defender is, and she's got such a nice release.
Maley gets through the trees for 2.
They needed that basket if they're keeping anywhere intact with the Boomers. But what an answer from Goodchild.
She's up to 10 points in the game. 4 of 7 from the field. Annalie Maley with the rock. Hesitates, tried to step through, pops it out to Wilson. McKay provides the screen at the elbow. Wilson, space to fire, converts. Bendigo's hot shooting continues. 4 minutes to go here before the final break in this ball game at the Boombox. Mitchell in the corner, dumps it down low. Davidson and McKay. The move was nice, but the finish not quite there. Levy. Can she catch Goodchild out of position? She'll back it out.
I like how the Bendigo in that play with Levy have pushed the ball up the floor. Even though they didn't have anything initially and Levy had to back it out, pass it back out to Kelly Wilson, they're putting pressure on the defense straight away. They're making them have to play right away, and that's what you want.
Improved last few minutes from the Spirit. Melbourne lead the quarter 15-12. Wallace and Levy. And Mitchell. Having another great game here on their home floor, where the Boomers are 4-1 so far this season. Wallace fighting hard. McKay's there. And last touch, Megan McKay.
Great almost rebound. Just came off her leg, and now we see that the Boomers get it back.
Boomers to go again. Wallace into Davidson. Straight back to her point guard. Nice movement. Davidson just missing. Maley moves it quickly. Now Ali Wilson, transition triple. And Rachel Brewster's there for Melbourne. Wallace dumps it down low. George has Wilson defending her. Wants space. Offensive foul.
You could see just as she was backing her down, she just gave her a little bit of an elbow.
Here it is there. Easy call from the referee.
Easy call.
First personal for George. Remains the 11-point margin. Can Bendigo cut it before three-quarter time? Levy. Werung back into the ball game. Maley takes George off the dribble. No good off the window. And Brewster corrals. Melbourne looking to control this final 2.5 of the third. Mitchell on the wing. Again they go to George in the post, and again it's an offensive foul. Back to back for Kayla George. Bendigo with some life here.
That's the thing, and it's really hard as a big post player when you've got somebody smaller on you. Your tendency is to want to just get that hook, get that position, because they're fighting to get around. They're that little, so it's not necessarily body on body. And we can see the last two possessions, Kayla George has had the same call against her. Good fight by Annalie Maley, because she's certainly, you know, undersized and battling hard out there, you know, trying to defend their bigs.
Maley inbounds to Levy. Brewster defending the ball. Wilson into the lane, kicks it to the corner. Just off was Levy. Mitchell controlling this ball game. Got it in the palm of her hands. Davidson to Wallace on the perimeter. From the mid-range where she's so comfortable. Crashing the glass hard. What hustle from Christy Wallace. Mitchell just missing. Brewster's there. And the foul call goes against Bendigo.
Wow, there was some bodies crashing the boards here.
Unbelievable. Tough as they come, Christy Wallace.
Not sure where in that crunch of bodies in that second contest for the ball where there was a foul, but clearly there was something there from the referees, and Rachel Brewster finds herself at the line.
Certainly hard to tell from our position. Brewster with the first. Melbourne leading the rebounding count in a slim manner, 29-24. Importantly, have held Bendigo to just the 5 offensive rebounds so far this afternoon.
We can see a technical foul just called on Kennedy Kirama. I think he was wondering about that rebounding contest as well. So he just had a few words to the referee wondering about the call, and we can see Kayla George now shooting the technical foul.
2 of 2 so far this afternoon, Kayla George. And there's the miss. So now Brewster to take her 3 throws. Has 4 rebounds in 7.5 minutes so far off the pine. And that one to miss as well. George on the O-glass. They'll reset the Boomers, 14 to go. 90 seconds remaining in the third quarter. Tiff Mitchell around the screen. Again, attacking the rack with aggression. Tried to find Davidson. The pass just at her feet.
Well, the Spirit now really need to take advantage. The Boomers have made a couple of little errors, costly errors, the last couple of times down the floor. So it's their chance now to try and slim this margin a little bit before going into three-quarter time.
Werung again into the corner. Levy, this time she makes it.
And that's exactly what they needed.
First points in her comeback game, Tessa Levy. Coming off the bench today, making a return with that calf injury. George kicks it to Mitchell. Werung's there in the post. Foul call Bendigo. Werung now has 4 personals. A blow for the Spirit.
And she knows that as soon as she fouled, and she knew that that was her 4th, that she'd be subbed out, sitting on the bench.
So Boomers to inbound from the baseline. As Nelson Adota re-enters the ball game. Into Nelson Adota. Christy Wallace finds Mitchell, causing a lot of worries at the moment for the Spirit. Just picked up her dribble and lifted the pivot foot. Travel call.
So again, that's another stop for Bendigo, and they just need to capitalize like that last 3-point shot by Tess Levy to bring this. Right now the margin's under 10.
Levy, hand off Wilson. Here's Ali Wilson. Crawling as well, top of the painted area. Levy again in the corner, plenty of space, makes him pay. Back-to-back triples from the same position for Tessa Levy.
Yeah, the same spot. I'm not sure what Boomers were thinking there.
And it brings it back to 6 points the margin. Bendigo right in it here at the boombox. Shot clock still ahead of the game clock. George hands it to Mitchell. Again, she takes Maley off the dribble. Wildly backs it out. 5 seconds. Wallace steps into a three. And George spikes it back out. So the final four will remain with Christy Wallace. And she can't make it to end the third. 6-point ball game. The Boomers lead. But Bendigo with a mini run to end the third, Laurie Chiswick.
Well, it was a great run for them to bring that back, but some really uncharacteristic sort of movement by the Melbourne Boomers. They were their own worst enemy the last sort of 3 minutes of this quarter, and to Bendigo's credit, you know, they took advantage of that and shot some threes, and we know Tess Levy, 2 of them right in the corner from the same spot, but this is a ball game now.
Absolutely, it is. 2-possession ball game at that, and the Melbourne defense, which has been so seamless really throughout the afternoon. Just a couple of breakdowns toward the end, and it's back to 6 points.
Well, and just those, I think those two offensive fouls called on Kayla George for hooking, that had a bit of an impact, and then Bendigo took advantage of that. So, wow, you can never say never. The game's not over until that final buzzer. So 6-point game, anybody's game.
Bendigo's 3-ball continued to fall in the third quarter, 55% from long range. Melbourne 36%. And a team that has 5 players in their regular rotation, Melbourne, who shoot above 40% from 3. But yet most of their points so far have come in the painted area, 26 there to 16. They lead the way. Lead the rebound in column 2, Laurie.
Well, just let me touch on the 3-point stat right now. At halftime, Bendigo were at 53, so they're now at 55. But for the season, they usually only shoot at 33%, so that's a massive stat for them. But points in the paint, they didn't go inside as much. They were 22 at halftime. Well, they've only gone 4 points in the paint this half or this quarter. So I think that's something where the Boomers need to get back to is just getting that ball. When there's switches, whatever, good angled passes, get it inside and take advantage of their height.
This home crowd here at the Boombox will want to get involved to get their Boomers over the line here. The Spirit want to win to keep the season series alive between these two teams. Melbourne leading 1-0 in that category with the next matchup between the Boomers and the Spirit, the 5th of Feb. Here at Parkville.
And we have to remember both teams are missing crucial players. Kelsey Griffin for Bendigo, Mia Murray for the Boomers.
Murray laid out, if you like, for Melbourne. Froling, hand off to Levy. Starting to look very comfortable in her return from injury. Wilson probing, one on an option. Levy got to go. 3 seconds. Deep triple from Wilson on the buzzer. No good off the window. Well, the Boomers with some good defense to start the fourth quarter. Here's Mitchell. Again, off the dribble, trying to cause issues. Doing just that. Trying to put Froling in the blender as she hits the deck. And it goes against Alicia Froling.
Yeah, just didn't quite have position. Again, great use of the crossover step by Tiff Mitchell, and Alicia Froling just couldn't keep her body right in front.
She'll take a break with 4 personals. Played the 12 minutes so far this afternoon with foul trouble. Wallace gets it back from Nelson Adota. Searching for the first bucket of the fourth period. Mitchell, 5 seconds, mid-range 2, little short. Maley just grabs it and goes. What's next for the Spirit?
And that's a luxury of having somebody like Annalie Maley in your 4 spot right now. When she rebounds, she can go. She can put the ball to the floor.
So dynamic in that front court for Bendigo. Again, Wilson with a hook shot. Seen that a few times this afternoon. And Maley picks it off with the steal.
That'll be a timeout by Coach Chris Lucas straight away. He needs to refocus his team, get them back on track. But for Bendigo, Wow, 2-point game. Great way to come out this next quarter.
Can you believe it? 2-point ball game, forcing the timeout, brought to you by Aussie Hoops. The program had its biggest year to date with over 42,000 participants registering to a local Aussie Hoops centre nearby. It's the perfect introduction to the great game of basketball for kids aged 5 to 10 years. Whether your little one is a seasoned basketball fan or simply looking to get out there and give it a go, we've no doubt will have a ball of a time. Register now at aussiehoops.basketball to kickstart your journey. This lead for Melbourne at one stage got out to 15 points, Laurie.
Well, it did, and now to bring it back to that 2-point game with that steal from Annalie Maley, but that pass from Christy Wallace, she didn't need to pass that to Kayla George. There was no pressure on her, and it was just so easy to read, so easy for Maley just to anticipate that. And that's what makes me wonder, because she's played virtually the whole game so far. She's, you know, all 3 quarters. And it's not only physical fatigue we talk about, but that mental fatigue. And so is that going to creep into the game this last quarter, just the mental fatigue? I mean, they're both very experienced players, high IQ. But hopefully, you know, that doesn't play a part in this last quarter for them.
Has been the trim rotation from Melbourne, as we've become accustomed to. The 7 active players so far this afternoon. Davidson and Brewster have played roughly 10 minutes apiece, and it goes against the Boomers. Bendigo benches up. And they have got their tails up here.
So I think the call is on Christy Wallace coming back through. Yeah, just moving forward on that screen, not letting Kayla just cut off of her.
Wilson. Bendigo can tie or take the lead with a bucket here. Wilson has Levy on the wing. Skip past to Wilson. Now Levy for 3, makes it for the Spirit.
Tessa Levy, welcome back to the WNBL.
Her 3rd triple, and Bendigo lead straight away to George. And the foul call.
What a great answer by Melbourne. So while Bendigo are feeling really good about that 3, they got the lead. And then just a night, well, we can just see this shot here by Tessa Levy, but then to get it in so quickly and push the ball up the floor to a running Kayla George, that's the way to get the crowd back involved.
Heads up play from Kayla George, who's got yet another double-double, make it 16 and 10.
Kayla George has 11 out of 13 games double-double. Now add that in, 12 out of 14 for this game, and that one triple-double. Amazing season, Kayla George.
Some season. 3-pointers made, assists, points, rebounds, all within the top 2 or 3 in those categories. As Wilson just rolls out on the 3. George with the rock. Wallace gets around Levy, attacking down the lane. And the call from the referee. 2 shots. So Bendigo moments ago with their first lead of the ball game, immediately erased by George with the free throws.
So the reason that she finds herself at the free throw line is because when McKay went to take that charge, she was inside that charge circle. So that circle that's under the basket there, you can't take a charge within that, and that's where it happens. So that's why we see Christy Wallace at the line.
Making on the first. And splits a pair. George creating some pressure. McKay unfazed. Maley again attacking down the lane. Tangled up with George, stays Bendigo ball.
Liam, this is what we'd hope for in this top 4 clash between, you know, number 1 and number 3. Basket for basket this 4th quarter.
We flagged it off the top. It could be the game of the round potentially. 2 of the WNBL's best here on display. Contenders for the Cygnett WNBL Championship. No question. And it's a 2-point ball game at the boombox. Christy Wallace chatting things over with Chris Lucas. Point guard and coach trying to run proceedings for the home side. With a small delay in play, 7.5 remaining here. final game of round 11 in the WNBL. Wilson moves it on. Ali Wilson, corner triple, won't go.
It was a nice play, wide open three, nice look.
Could have retaken the lead for Bendigo. Wallace, good child. Moves out of the corner, here's Wallace. Pulls up, mid-range 2. And that again won't fall. So Wallace is 2 of 13 from the field now. Has 9 assists as well. Wilson backs it out. Maley posting up on Goodchild. George hovering there in the paint, but makes it mid-range.
That was a good ball reversal for Bendigo so that they could find Annalie Maley posting up Goodchild there because she knew she had the advantage. A nice finish.
Wallace with the rock. Nelson Adoda with the pick. Finds her slashing to the hoop. McKay's there. Good finish.
Great pass by Christy Wallace. She got it up in the air to the long arms of Adoda. Adoda didn't bring it down and was able to finish.
Maley, late closeout. Can she take advantage? Not quite. Basket for basket in this fourth quarter so far.
Looks like some weary bodies out there, Liam.
As you mentioned, Laurie, Boomers starters, high minutes all season for them. Once again this afternoon, Goodchild for 3.
Goodchild did a great job of moving to the correct receiver spot, just wasn't able to finish.
Down low to McKay. Somehow found Lady a little bit too much on it, maybe.
Yeah, I would have liked to see McKay just go to work in there, really make sure that the defenders were whoever was defending her, so that she could have a clear pass to a perimeter player if she didn't think she had a shot.
Tessa Lavey takes a break. 16 minutes of action in her return, 3 threes. Time will tell if she'll feature down the stretch as well for the Spirit. Werung still on the pine as well for coach Kennedy Kariyama's team. 15 first half points for her, yet to feature in the second. Nelson Adoda denied by Froling.
Great hand by Alicia Froling. Oh, and then running the lanes, point of the rim. Nice find by Abby Werung.
Checking straight back in, excuse me, Werung. That's her 4th assist. And we are tied up, Laurie. Here's Wallace. Froling's there, finds George. No, Wilson with the steal. Melbourne trailing. Goodchild's there. Wilson with the call. Makes the bucket. And a 3 throw to come to make it the biggest lead of the ball game for the Spirit. Kelly Wilson has 12 points now on the afternoon.
Oh, my goodness. I don't think at one point of the game when the Boomers were up by, what, 12 or so? That 15, that we were going to expect such a comeback. But Bendigo are a good team. They're well coached. They've got some quality players out there. They just looked really shaky for a while in their on-ball defense and what they were doing, second-guessing offensively. And they've just come to play this last quarter. And conversely now, Melbourne look like they're the ones that are a little bit nervous and uncertain and not being really assertive out there in what they're doing and playing that defense that they played for the first 3 quarters.
From the Bendigo perspective, this is a chance to really build some belief going into the back half of the season. It's been an indifferent last 6. They're 3 of 3. They've lost to some of the other contenders in significant manner. No Kelsey Griffin this afternoon, and if they could come away with a victory, Laurie, that would be huge for them.
Well, and I think that they play, you know, down the stretch, when you talk about the run home and you look at the closeness, I think they've got Townsville twice more still. So that's something that's, you know, every win where you can separate yourself from another team in that top 4 or 5 is so important.
2-point ball game with a Kelly Wilson 3 throw to come. Bendigo have got 4 players in double figures here, led by Annalie Maley, who's got 17 and 9. And for the Boomers, it's Tiff Mitchell with 20. And Kayla George, another stellar game, 17 and 11.
You just see the leadership with Kayla George there in that little huddle as the team came out, just, you know, calming her teammates down. We can get this done. Kelly
Wilson for the 3-point play. 5 minutes to go here at the Melbourne Sports Centre. Wallace moves it onwards to Goodchild. Nelson Adoda, top of the perimeter, down low. George, reverse. Strong finish.
Strong finish. Nice pass by her teammate, her partner in crime, the high-low, Nelson Adoda. Now Melbourne, they've got to lock down on defense if they want to get this game on their terms.
Wilson finds Froling, wide open.
Froling's had a great impact since she's come back in this fourth quarter.
She certainly has. Hasn't been her afternoon for the most part due to foul trouble. But a feature down the stretch with her team leading by 3. George, fade away off the window. And Goodchild, that'll be a personal foul. Abby Werung with the rebound.
Boomers are on 4 fouls now. One more will start sending Bendigo to the line.
So Wilson to control this possession for the Spirit. In some ways, they've controlled this fourth quarter, wrestling back the lead. It's going to be a box office finish here. Froling, great play. Wilson releasing.
Well, we talked about Bendigo not having great pick and roll rules or what they were doing in that third quarter. Now that Melbourne, that was too easy.
Wallace backs it out. George got to go from 3, makes it. Of course she does.
Of course she does. Pick and pop, Kayla George.
And a big roar to match from the Boomers crowd. Takes it back to 2 points. Maley backing down Goodchild. Thought about the shot, finds Froling. Just missing inside. Does well to hunt it down. Bendigo, 10 seconds to work with. Wilson again, the baby hook shot.
Baby hook shot, but over the length of Kayla George.
Tough finish, Kelly Wilson. Nelson Adoda, nice move. Mighty efficient from inside the lane is Nelson Adoda. 4 of 6 again for 10 points this afternoon.
You can hear the crowd imploring their team to play some defense. Come up with a stop.
What a game to conclude round 11 of the Cygnett WNBL. And the dime to Froling, who this time converts.
That was just the best pass because it was just in front of her, so she caught it and was able to finish quickly. Great execution by Bendigo.
Into crunch time now. Tiff Mitchell, nearly the triple. The steal, Maley dives on it. Hustle, Wallace is there. They get tangled up. And a jump ball call from the referee. And the possession arrow favours the home side, the Boomers.
Just really good anticipation by the Bendigo team, and the Boomers have to make their passes less transparent. So maybe a pass fake first, somebody goes flying out, then you have an easy look out there. But right now they're being intercepted way too easily.
Ball wipers with plenty of work to do after that scramble. 4 or 5 players contesting that loose ball. Tiff Mitchell in the thick of it.
And this is what, you know, teams practice this. In training you put 2 minutes on the clock, say you're 4 minutes down or 4 minutes up. What do? How do you play it? So both teams will have rehearsed situations like this.
This is what you play for. It's what you come to watch. The close games, the best players. Both teams opting with their starting units here. 2.5 on the clock. Into Wallace. On the perimeter. Nice pass. Mitchell missing. Tough blow for Melbourne. A break for the Spirit. Annalie Maley. Hands off. Wilson whips it out. Werung.
Good ball movement, good player movement by the Spirit right now.
7 seconds. Looking for the right look. Maley. Good defense by George and the Boomers. Do they have the response? Wallace, around 2 picks from her bigs. George. Suffocating Bendigo defense. Nelson Adoda, mid-range. Bendigo another stop. 90 seconds to go now. They've trailed for almost all of the afternoon. Taking the lead for the first time here in this fourth quarter, the Spirit. Mitchell trying to harass Wilson. Froling fouled hard. And Christy Wallace will be fouled out of this contest if it is indeed assessed on her. Wants to make Froling earn it from the free-throw line.
Well, she certainly came across from that split line and made sure that she wasn't going to score that basket. She has to, like you say, earn it from the free throw line.
So Froling for two. Christy Wallace, that will be her afternoon done. 7 points, 11 assists. And the fifth foul. A couple of Spirit players as well, trying to manage four.
So they must have called an unsportsmanlike foul on that.
This a big moment for Bendigo. To extend the lead to 6. Alicia Froling shooting at 61% from the free-throw line this season. And a 61% clip on her career as well. Melbourne crowd doing their best to deter. First just misses for the Spirit.
Minute 20's lots of time for lots of things to happen, Liam.
Froling on the second makes it.
So that's 2 shots and possession.
And a timeout on the floor as well. So Bendigo will have possession following this short break. It's a 5-point ball game, Laurie. And a turnaround that at points in the second and third we couldn't have seen coming.
No, and on this possession here, Bendigo, right now the clock is in their favor. So they want to make sure that they take the first best available. So a shot that's a good shot. They don't need to rush anything. They can make Melbourne. They know that they're in foul trouble. So if they foul them, they go to the line. So I would think that they'd want to work that ball around, make the Boomers play some defense, take some more time off the clock. Anytime there's a wide open look or a drive to the basket, take it obviously, but nothing, don't force anything. And for the Boomers, well, they're going to have to get up and in. They don't have to foul right now. It's only a 5-point game, but they have to get up and in. They have to be really proactive on defense. And then offense come down, and they need a 3 and a 2 to tie it up.
For the Spirit, it was Werung who had 15 in the first half leading the way. But in the second half, it's been Annalie Maley and Kelly Wilson who've put on offensive displays. They are tied as leading scorers for Bendigo with 17 apiece.
Well, they both had 8 at halftime, so you know they've piled on 9 points so far and have been critical in this Spirit comeback.
Doing it all without the influence of their skipper Kelsey Griffin. The Boomers without Mia Murray. Ali Wilson, 14 seconds to work with for Bendigo. Out to Werung. Has 5 triples this afternoon. 4 seconds, Wilson. Got a heave, denied by Brewster. Froling diving on it, good hustle. And the jump ball call from the ref. Here's that hustle again. Brewster, who will have to check in and play, you'd think, the final minutes of this ball game with Wallace out. With the big stop for Melbourne. And it will go the way of Melbourne. Deemed a shot clock violation. Bendigo up in defence. Can they cause a steal? Good child running point. On to Brewster, down low. Georgian Maley. 2 of the league stars in the keyway. Just rattles out. But 2 shots for Kayla George.
Well, that was a good shot by Kayla getting it inside, or a good pass by her teammate getting it inside, because they needed to get a quick look at there. So now she finds herself at the foul line with still 53 seconds to go.
Big free throws coming up for Kayla George. An 86% free throw shooter on the season. And the skipper for Melbourne makes on the first. This to bring it back to a one-possession ball game. And she does just that. Timeout on the floor. 3-point ball game. 53.4 on the clock. So Bendigo will take possession, Laurie. Biggest lead of the ball game for Melbourne was 15.
It'll be interesting to see if Kennedy brings the ball, advances the ball, which means there's only 14 seconds on the clock. So you don't take the chance of it getting stolen in the backcourt or an 8-second violation, but it only gives you a chance to burn 14 seconds off the clock. So it'll be interesting to see whether he keeps it at the back or moves it forward.
So Sophie Burrows as well has checked in for her first minutes, helping replace Wallace.
Wow, that's big minutes for her. Hasn't played all game. 3-point game, 53 seconds on the clock. Whew.
Here we go, another good crowd in attendance here at the Boombox. And they are set for a big-time finish. The Spirit trying to pull off a morale-lifting victory. They could improve to 11-4.
Rachel Brewster's back on the court now.
So Brewster will be tasked in the backcourt for Chris Lucas's team. 2 wins away from 200 career WNBL wins, Chris Lucas. Emily Kariyama's team, though, in the moment in the ascension. Here we go. Ellie Wilson will inbound. Mitchell to apply the pressure on Wilson.
So it's important Bendigo don't go negative here. They still want to get a good look at the basket because there's certainly time on the clock.
Still need to score, you'd think, to secure the victory. Wilson. So Burrows is out there for the Boomers. Gets a tip in there as well. And it goes against the Bendigo Spirit.
Wow. Oh my goodness. Just got a hand in there.
Sophie Burrows stepping up when it counts. They'll regain possession, the Boomers. 44 on the clock. Werung right up in D on Goodchild. Fighting hard to set the offense. Down low to George. Again posting up on Maley. Burrows for 3. George is there. Second chance Melbourne. Goodchild, deep triple. And Wilson with the rebound for Bendigo. Shot clock just ahead of the game clock. And the foul call against Melbourne.
Wow, a couple of looks there, a couple of great 3-point looks by the Boomers.
So Wilson is sent to the 3-throw line. In safe hands for the Spirit. 81% on her career, 83 on the season. To make it very difficult for Melbourne.
If she makes one, then it's a 2-possession game.
And the first drops, nothing but net. Looking unfazed. Kelly Wilson, veteran of this league, makes no mistake. 5 points the lead. Melbourne need a quick score. Preferably from beyond the arc. Here's Mitchell. George. Bendigo right there in defense. 9 seconds. Mitchell heaves. Nearly off the window. Burrows is there. Maley pulls it down.
Bendigo are going to get this win. This is massive.
Bendigo have pulled it off at the Boombox and defeated Melbourne by 5 points, coming from as many as 15 down. with no Kelsey Griffin. What a second half performance from Annalie Maley's team. She had 17 and 11. What a ball game, Laurie Chiswick.
Wow, there was just so many great contributors in that second half, especially that fourth quarter by the Spirit. Annalie Maley, Kelly Wilson was phenomenal. The way she led that team, led the tempo. And I thought Alicia Frawling came in and did some super crucial things at really important stages of that last quarter. Whew.
Scoreless for so much of the game, Alicia Frawling in foul trouble, pulls out 9 points in crunch time, or towards the end of the fourth at least, to help secure the victory for Bendigo. They were led by Wilson with 19 points. She was terrific. And for Melbourne, well, it was George and Mitchell, no surprises, 24 and 20 respectively. The field goal percentage started off so hot for the Boomers, just slid throughout the game.
Well, it did, and it was just their decision making, and as I said, it might have been fatigue with especially with Christy Wallace fouling out, and that last foul was, you know, an interesting one, unsportsmanlike on her part, but they just looked tentative that last quarter. They didn't look the same. They weren't playing the same sort of defense, and that really gave Bendigo Spirit the advantage, and they took it.
In many ways, it was a tale of two halves, if you like.
It was, absolutely.
Levy, who had 9 points as well, all via the three-point line. Many of them really defensive breakdowns for Melbourne to allow the open shot.
Well, and that's what we talked about. The first half was Bendigo's defensive breakdowns, but I just felt that Melbourne, some of their, you know, defense, the way they went away from how they were defending that first half was they'll be really disappointed in, but all credit to Bendigo for fighting back and coming out the way they did and never giving up.
Gee, I thought Annalie Maley was terrific in leadership today as well for Bendigo.
Well, she wasn't, and she was, you know, we talked about at halftime that she was relatively quiet on the scoring and the boards. Well, she's ended up with 17 and 12, as only Annalie Maley can.
All 12 of them defensive, but a great game. Frawling as well. We've sung the praises of. They had 4 players in double figures, the Bendigo Spirit. 10 for Wilson. Werong had 15. She was 5 of 6 from 3, all of which were in the first half. Kept Bendigo in it, really. It could have blown right out if it wasn't for her shooting.
Well, and that's the thing, is that there were the different contributors. That was just such a great fast pass into Frawling. They played really well as a team, much better as a team, that second half Bendigo Spirit. All credit to them.
Ties up the season series at 1 apiece. The next time these two teams will play is round 13 right here at the Boombox, Sunday, 5th of February. And that could be crucial. I mean, now they're tied on 11 wins apiece. Melbourne are 11 and 3. Bendigo are 11 and 4. But we know how tight that top 3 is, Laurie.
Well, we talked about it at the start of the coverage, how tight it is. Now it's gotten even tighter with Melbourne losing and coming back to 3 and Bendigo getting that win. But that's what we want in our Cygnett WNBL. Lots of close games, lots of close ladder spots on the ladder.
Round 11 has concluded here at Parkville. It may be one of the games of the round. Between two of the WNBL's best, it was a 5-point come-from-behind victory for the Bendigo Spirit, 81, defeating the Boomers 76. Liam Ellison here alongside me was Laurie Chiswick for this afternoon. Thank you very much for joining us, and we'll catch you next time for the Cygnett WNBL.